Alright guys, welcome to Beyond the Pixel. Dark Souls is finally getting remastered after flipping 7-8 years, and now Overwatch League is the biggest thing on the planet right now. Over 340 plus viewers last night. Find out now on Beyond the Pixel. If this is your first time here on my YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe and bell notifications so you can be notified when I go live with these podcasts. And the question of the day for the audience out there is, what is your favorite esport and why? Leave it in the comments section down below. All right, Dismount. First things first, I got to talk about the thing I love, which is Dark Souls. We finally got a remaster. You know, it's been 7 years since we got the first Dark Souls game. Dismount, if you don't know too much about Dark Souls, which I don't think you do you? You don't? All right, so just to bring you up to speed, Dark Souls was a sequel, a spiritual sequel by the same people from Software who developed Demon Souls for the PS3, and they developed Dark Souls, and holy crap, did Dark Souls just explode, because the game is challenging. You will die. There's literally a version of it called Prepare to Die Edition. That's how intense this game is. No other game I've ever played has said you're gonna die, and you're gonna die a lot. That's all right. Well, just I guess that's the equivalent of shooters. But I actually didn't play shooters until Black Ops 3. I was never interested into it. I mean, but that's just me. Now I am greatly more appreciative of good shooters, not crappy to mediocre shooters like Battlefront and Infinite Warfare. But Dark Souls. So Dark Souls is an RPG, an action RPG. The first and at that time the only of its kind, besides I believe very similar Lords of the Fallen, but Dark Souls just clicked with everyone more than Lords of the Fallen. It's based on a story of not good and evil, because there's no, it's really weird. A lot at that time there was a big thing of having things being good versus evil, making good decisions or bad decisions, or an evil decision. And I mean bad, I mean evil, not, you know, this is a bad idea. But so like Star Wars, The Force Unleashed was a perfect example that introduced that system of, oh, you have a good ending or a bad ending. A game I loved, Infamous. I don't know if you ever heard or played that game. Yes. Yeah, the first one was amazing. And, you know, you could be good to people, or you could be a dick, and then, you know, you pick the bad ending or the evil ending. So games like that were very common back in that early late 2000s, early 2010s, the teens. But Dark Souls was different. You didn't have a good or bad side. You kind of just killed everyone. So the story was, you know, in the beginning, there was nothing but some gray stone dragons, and there was no life. But then a flame came out of nowhere, and it split into like 3 souls, or 3 flame souls. It went to Gwyn, which was the king of the giants, essentially. The witch Izalith, who created demons because she did some stupid shit. And then Nito, who was essentially the Grim Reaper. They banded together to kill the dragons because one of the dragons' albino brothers, Sif, the Scaleless, their powers came from the scales, but he was born scaleless, so he was not immortal like his brethren. So in order to gain favor with the other guys, he showed them their weakness, because nothing can kill a dragon when they have their scales on them. But he told them that the weakness is lightning. So Gwyn was like, all right, guys, we're going to shoot some lightning bolts at them. Witch, you're going to burn them. And then Nito, you're just going to make them die. So that's what they did, and then they created Age of Fire. But then it was like a fourth small soul called the Dark Soul from the Fire, and humanity got that. Now the whole crap begins essentially because the fire starts to fade. You know, nature has its own natural progression that's actually been started with the ending of the dragons, and the fire was supposed to fade, and then humanity was supposed to take over in the Age of Dark. But Gwyn feared it. He was like, no. That's not going to happen. We got to keep the Age of Light going, people. We got, if things are bright, we don't want winter to come. Winter was coming this month. That's what they were thinking. They were trying to prevent winter. So they did a bunch of crap and blah, 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 blah. And then some curse started because of this. So then humans started becoming undead, and not just humans, but also other creatures start becoming undead and hollowing, which means they can't die. They keep being reborn, but they lose their sanity, so they forget who they are. And so Gwyn locks up everyone because he's scared. How you gonna be a flipping god and be scared? He locks them up all in an asylum, and then that's where your character is, because there's a prophecy that the undead character will link the fires and do one of two things. He'll either let the fire fade and let the Age of Dark happen, and then, or he'll rekindle the flame by gathering all the souls he did throughout his entire journey, which makes him more powerful than spoiler alert, the boss is Gwyn at the end of Dark Souls 1. You kill him, and then you have those two choices: become the Dark Lord or keep the flame going longer. And the reason I went through the entire explanation dismount is because it does not matter. It does not matter what you pick, because it's a cycle. I mean, the first game, each game had its own theme. The first game was all about kindling and humanity. The second game, which takes place in a different time period in a different land, is all about curses. And then the third game is all about the first two games combined, essentially. So there is no good and bad. Even though it may seem like, rekindling the fire was a good choice and becoming the Dark Lord was a bad choice, because that's all a matter of perspective when it comes to who's the Dark Lord and who's rekindling the fire. I mean, you meet, and what's interesting about this game, Dismount, is that it tells you the entire story within the first cutscene. After that, there's no real cutscenes besides, sometimes when fighting certain bosses, there's kind of some cutscenes, but you learn all the story, and the story becomes even deeper and greater by just playing the game, which I love, talking to characters. And it is kind of sad because a lot of characters that you meet tend to go hollow at the end of their storyline. And then you have to end up killing them, and there's a couple I like that she end up killing. But overall, it's not a story of good or evil. It's just kind of a story of survival and just picking whatever choice. And I mean, the choice, when we first played it, we thought the choice mattered, but after playing 3 games and watching a bunch of videos on lore, your choice did not matter. Because if you pick the rite of kindling, you reignite the fire, you're just extending the age for a little bit. It'll eventually fade, and then another person will have the same choice. They'll either keep the fire going or they'll let it fade, letting the Age of Man to continue. But, at some point, then someone will, take out that Dark Lord and then reignite the Age of Fire. So it's a cycle like it's supposed to be. No, one or the other does not completely fade out. The dark doesn't completely fade out, and the flames does not completely fade out. So yeah, that's why. Yeah, because it's hard. Dismount. Yeah, the one thing Dark Souls is kind of a lot of is you're hitting enemies kind of in the butt a lot. You gotta, I mean, your character is completely custom. You know, there's like Skyrim. You know, you can be like a mage, you can be a tank, you can be a fighter, assassin, thief. You know, there's a lot of customization in this game. A lot of different weapons you can build in this game. There's a there we go. Right. Right. Hold on. Because I don't know if I say something. Oh, there we go. So I'm pretty sure the first 10 minutes of audio doesn't have you on there this time, but it's fine because I talk mainly for those 10, 12. I don't know why it does that. Like, for some reason, OBS audio, just for the output, always resets and doesn't pick up. But it's good now.
All right.
So, but like you said, I think it's good for the Switch because it needs more third-party titles to me to make it more than just a Nintendo game only thing.
Right.
But I feel like it is necessary for the PS4 just because um, you can't get it on PSN now. Now I know you can get Dark Souls 2 on PSN now, so it kind of makes it remaking Dark Souls 2 a mute point. And it definitely does not look bad, but just about how far can we even go with how video games look? I mean, each year we always increase the pixel somehow.
Right.
That's why it's beyond the pixel. We start with 4-bit, 2-bit stuff, and then we went to 8-bit, and then 16-bit was freaking revolutionary, and then when it went to 64 and polygons, everyone just completely lost their shit.
Oh man, it was amazing.
And then we took it, we went further and went to HD. We smoothed out the polygons, so it was kind of like 480p. And we lost our shit anymore, especially we went from cartridges to disc, to real disc, to DVD discs, and then we went even further with HD. Now we got 4K, 8K, real life. How far can we go, Dismount?
I mean, before long, they're going to have a gaming system you step into, and it's going to have different sensory stuff in there. So if you're standing out and the wind's blowing through your character's hair, it'll have fans blowing on you so that you feel the wind in the game.
And then we just go beyond that,
if it's
where
raining, there's just water that comes down.
You just put a helmet. You just put a helmet on, and then it just downloads your mind into a virtual game, and then you experience everything like it was in real life.
At some point in time, it'll be like that movie Gamer, where you just get nanites implanted in your brain, and everything just feels real. Like if you're eating a sandwich in the video game, you can taste what it tastes like, and if you're, getting shot in the arm, it's going to hurt a little bit.
I don't think I want to die in a virtual game where it feels like I die in real life.
I mean, it would definitely make you. It would definitely
make the experience real.
Camping would be a lot more, I feel like, at that point. But also, I don't feel like there would be as much jumping around corners in first-person shooters at that point. So
you would think so. Someone will still hack it to where they can do that crap.
Oh no, they would still do it, but I mean, your chances of dying from doing something like that, so they're not going to risk their leg being tingling for the next 10 minutes to jump around a corner. They're going to play it like an actual soldier would actually play it. So
yeah, I think VR is going to eventually go too far. Dismount in 20 years from now. When we have arthritis and can't play computer games anymore, we're stuck to console shit.
Yep.
We'll have virtual reality to save us, and we can be back in our heyday. I expect virtual reality to make an esport jump at some point. Kind of going off topic here, but it just seems like it would. I don't know how you would really do it, because
I can see that. Well, I mean, you have the
kind of just have like 2 rooms or something, and
yeah. Well, and you have like the ability right now, like with the PSVR, to watch what the player's looking at on screen, so the people sitting around you can see what they're seeing. And same way on PC too. But you'd still be able to incorporate it in the esports. I don't know. I don't know how. Eventually, I feel like it's going to go that way. I just feel like it's going to take a while. Just like VR is taking a while to really take off. I mean, it's starting to now. There's more and more stuff out there that's fun and interactive. I remember, here's completely off topic. Well, not really off topic. We're on this topic, but I remember back in what was it? It had to have been like 8th grade. We went to this science place,
mm-hmm.
and they had VR there, and it was one where you see these ones online where you actually step into like this harness, and it tracks your feet movement, and you had like the 2 controllers. It was basically like the Oculus Rift is now, where you had these 2 controllers, and then you had the headset on, but you actually stepped into this little apparatus. So like to move forward, you had to actually like walk forward, and it was just like a smooth surface, and you had a little ring around you so you couldn't actually walk off. But that it was in the polygon days of graphics, so it was a VR game where you were like walking around the city, but everything looked like Star Fox. So
that's interesting.
I mean, it's been the technology's been there for a while. It's just never been mainstream, and now it's starting to become mainstream. So, like I said, it's taken that long to get it to where it's in consumers' homes. So, I mean, I feel like it's going to take a while before it actually gets
I mean, who knows?
mainstream
Maybe
enough.
we'll get a no. Maybe we'll get Nintendo in the VR game. I feel like they could do it. They can bring
I
back
feel
the
like,
power. They can bring back the Power Glove.
oh yeah, the Power Glove. Oh, I
Now
forgot
we're
about
playing with
that.
power. Nintendo Power.
Oh, the scope for Super Nintendo, Super Scope six, Super Scope.
I mean, that was kind of like VR, kind of,
Yeah,
with the accessories. Well, the way they implemented, it also had like I think a pad or something, like some type of dance pad for Nintendo thing. They were
yeah,
definitely the most creative out of the
yep.
video game bunch because they could afford it because Mario just brought in the big bucks.
Oh yeah, Nintendo was the player back in the day. I mean, the only thing they had to compete against was Sega, and Sega didn't really last very long. So,
No, and no one bought ColecoVision. I mean, a few people did probably, or Commodore 64 or whatever.
I,
Back when
I
PC
bought a
gaming
Coleco.
was at its low points and still trying to break out of an egg.
I bought a ColecoVision from a garage sale one time for $10. Came with like 5 games, and it worked for all of about 30 minutes, and then blew up on me. It like didn't work anymore after that.
You just actually see smoke and a mini
Hmm.
explosion.
It
You're
was
like,
bad.
well,
It was like a little nuclear explosion in my room.
it's like, well, good thing that was only $10. And
Hmm.
but it's sad because at some point, if you have a functioning game system and you wait like 50 years down the line and for some reason somebody will be looking for that game system and pay an absurd amount of money for it. Don't know why, but they will. That's why I told
I
all my
think
parents to hold on to my old Sega Genesis and Nintendo
I
games.
think and I think a lot of it is um, game nostalgia. Like there's games that you get on certain systems that you just can't get anymore, and I think that's kind of a downfall now too with the whole remastering everything. I mean that it devalues those older systems and stuff. I mean, if you're going to remaster games for PS1, it makes the PS1 worth nothing because now you can play them on PS4.
Let alone just having the virtual library for them.
Yeah,
And I don't think it devalues, but I think it's lazy. Because they could be creating. Okay, if you're going to remaster a game and you add DLC onto it, then I'm fine with that. Like a game like Dark Souls, um, they're remastering it, but maybe Nintendo could have threw in some extra money to have them have some like Mario DLC where he like dress up as Mario and fight monsters. They did that with Skyrim. You had uh some like special
well, there's
Skyrim. You got the Master Sword or something like that.
one they
So
had some kind of when something would happen, a sound from Zelda would play.
right, so like have something like that. Every time you open a chest, it's a Zelda thing. That would be awesome. What up, Joe in the chat? Dark Souls on the Switch for Overwatch League OP. That's what we're about to segue into next. But just this last point, though, I feel like they could have added something to it.
Yeah,
I don't know what they. To me, when you add a third party game on the Switch, they should add a little extra something to make it more exclusive. I mean, that's kind of what they used to do back in the day. Even not even back in the even more recently, they're kind of doing it now too, where buy it on our system and play it 2 days early. That ain't no damn incentive for me to buy it on your system. How about actually include exclusive content on the system, and then if I like it, I'll buy it, and if I don't
yep,
like it, then I'm just gonna get whatever standard edition, since
I
everything has
guess
to be a standard deluxe and ultra
yeah.
edition.
That's I think that's my problem with the whole remastering thing is you don't really get anything except for upgraded graphics for the most part. Now, like you take Modern Warfare remastered, and they added guns, they added they had it's basically all the original maps and stuff, but they added different stuff. They added new game modes. You could play the prop hunt game mode on Modern Warfare Remastered, which was a complete blast,
Mm-hmm.
especially playing with friends. They added new weapons and stuff that you could play. Like, do that. Like,
Right.
give me a remastered game, but add something to it to make me like, oh, this is cool. I played this 10 years ago.
Right,
and
and
it's
it
the same
wouldn't be
gameplay
hard.
graphics.
Like when they remaster this stuff, they're using the same code unless they had a different company do it, which a lot of these smaller companies don't do it. It's like is usually these bigger companies that do their specialized ports, but it's not that hard to add extra stuff, especially when it comes to items, uh, character costumes, whatever, because you already have the code. You already have a completed game. It's not that hard
Yep.
to inject some new stuff in it, test it, and then boom. So, but I guess for Dark Souls it would be hard because now they have to try to beat their own game again, and that shit's hard. So, but let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, and that is the owls. The owls are here. Overwatch League is
Oop,
here.
oop.
It's queer, and they're here to stay. So, Overwatch League, I watched some highlights, and the biggest problem I think Overwatch League has is it is really hard to understand what's going on in the game. Um, what are your thoughts on that, Dismount? That's just from my just first impression when I was watching highlights and stuff.
Well, I have a list of things that they did right, things that they did well, and I have a list of things that they didn't do well and could improve upon. That subject right there is one of the things I think they could improve upon because the bad thing about watching Overwatch is that at the professional level, like when I'm playing, it's not that fast paced because, well, half of us don't know what we're really doing.
Right.
But when you're playing at the professional level like this, like is just a really fast paced arcade shooter, and to watch it and to keep up with everything that's going on is difficult from an outsider perspective. The thing with Overwatch is if you don't already know what's going on, if you're not a player of the game, if you've never watched anybody play Overwatch, if you've never talked to anybody that's ever played Overwatch, you're watching this and they're saying stuff like, "Oh, he's got his ult." This person they got three
Right.
support alts ready going in here, and everybody's like, "They got what? What's that mean? What's going on?"
Right.
So I think it's hard to follow for somebody on the outside coming in. Now, if you're a fan of Overwatch, but there's a lot of people that play Overwatch, so I know it kind of caters to them. It's fun to watch because you see what's going on. You see these guys playing at the professional level, but at the same time, if they want to, with as much money as they've sank into this to make good production quality stuff, if they want to bring in outside audiences from people that don't play Overwatch, they are doing a poor job of it right now.
Yeah, and on that, the reason it's easy to watch League of Legends on a pro level because the game is a lot more slower pace. Like you don't see any fighting in the game until about not for a little bit. Like, and you can move the camera, and I mean the benefit that League of Legends has is it's top down.
Right.
You see things, you can see everything. You can slow it down. You have
You can
replays
yeah, you
where
can literally sit
they
there.
explain everything that happened in that replay.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you can literally sit there and on one screen see all five players in the middle of a team fight.
right, and in Overwatch, Blizzard being a software company they are, they should have developed at least for esports. Maybe do it for esports only. Maybe only do it for the broadcasters only. But have it in a specialized spectate format. Maybe top down is the best way to go. I don't know. But you
Well, see,
can't spectate and see everything that's happening in a first person view because you can only see
see
it
they
from
do.
one player's perspective.
Well, see, they do have. They have like the omnipresence view for the casters. The problem with that is that again everything's so fast paced and everything's going on. You can sit back and have an angle in a room where all 12 players are in there at the same time, but it just looks like mass chaos, and you're really not seeing what's going on. All you see is just bullets and stuff flying all over the place and people going down, and you're just like, whoa, what the hell's going on? That's why they kind of stick to first person mode. Now the broadcast I watched today, they like as the teams were pushing into an objective, they would go into third person mode and like kind of like watch how they were setting up for the objective to push in. And you can do that for situations like that, but like once you actually get in there and start getting in these team fights, like it's hard to. And they also um, they added a lot of stuff for this um, broadcast for broadcasting it, and they've changed the way it looks. So one team's yellow, one team's white, or one team's green, one team's yellow. Every bullet that one team fires, like if you're on the green team, all the bullets coming from your team are shown in green on the broadcast.
Right.
All the bullets and stuff coming from the yellow team are yellow, and so
Right, and
that
they
kind of
need that.
yeah, it
And
kind of helps. It helps watch it and see what's going on, but again, you're still watching from a first person view in a game that's super big and fast paced.
right, and I just think when like a big team fight's going on, you don't really need to watch it in first person. Like they sometimes pan out the third person, but I feel like they just need to stay in third person, because with this type of game, you're not going to see everything from first person, or something too fast paced happens, or someone dies, or crap happens that's too quick to see for only to keep switching to different people or whatever. So seeing it all from a third person, and then sometimes you switch to first person, but you get back in the third person. Um, it's just, I don't know. It's something that
Some
needs to be changed, because to me it's going to normalize. Its first day is going to be the biggest day of Overwatch history until like a world championship or whatever. But it's going to normalize down a little bit, because people are eventually not going to be able to watch it. I mean, it makes it very hard to, like you said, bring in new viewers who don't play Overwatch, or who are maybe just starting to play Overwatch and like, oh, there's a pro league. Let me watch what the pro do. And you really can't follow what they do because it's so quick.
yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about being doing the first person is you get to see, and again, that caters to the people that play Overwatch and the people coming in like wanting to play Overwatch. If they go in on a McCree, you can see how he's setting up to defend a point or to attack an point. Um, and it's like the broadcast I was watching earlier. He They were going into first person, and the person running the spectator cam, I give him props because he was on it. Like anytime somebody was in making plays, like he was on that person. And so you're watching this guy, get these, 3 kills with McCree, and then he gets his ult and it like, but he doesn't use it yet. So he goes back over to Widowmaker, and she's over popping heads as people are coming in, and then everybody starts flooding in. He switches back to McCree. McCree pops his ult, gets 3 kills. It's cool stuff like that from the first person view that make it interesting. So I feel like
Right.
they still need to utilize the first person. I just feel like,
Yeah, I don't think they should completely get rid of first person.
yeah,
I just feel
I,
like I'm watching part of a match here. All right, when they start the match, they're in a omnipresent 3D third person view, and then as soon as the action starts, they're in first person. And you know,
right,
when we watch any sport, we're watching it from a third person
right,
view. We're watching it top down or at angle, but most likely top down, so we can see everything that's happening.
right,
And video games, to me, some video games aren't designed as well as others to, fully utilize a top down or third omnipresent, you know,
right.
a camera viewing. So, you kind of just have to, I guess, make do of what you got. But
Well, and like
it's,
Call of Duty is a game where you want to see the guy making plays, and you want to see him, and from his point of view, see what he's doing. But it's also a lot slower paced, and I think that's the downfall to this being broadcast is the fact that it's so fast paced. And I feel like, honestly, if they want to do this and make it something viable to reach out to new people, not just the Overwatch people, they need to change the format. It should be 4v4 to where it's not quite as crazy stuff going on. And that's going to change the meta of the game. It's going to do a lot of stuff. But honestly, I feel like if you want people to be able to watch this game, like you have to change something.
yeah, they definitely. It's a trial and error to me at this point. Maybe you change it every split. I don't know how Overwatch does their seasons, but the games are very, they're very quick. So, you know, I think a match has like, I don't even know. I need
It's
to
like
look at the
5 minutes.
format because it's not like League of Legends where you play one game and it's boom, you won that game. It used to be a best of three, um, but they
It
changed it
depends.
to a best of one round
Yeah,
robin, I think. So,
it depends. It depends on what you play. They did the format. I think it's escort, capture. Um, I can't remember what the third one is, and then the last one is capture and escort.
yeah, and I mean, the objectives are pretty simple,
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you get the objective from point A to point B, or you prevent the objective from being captured. So it's really, I don't know if like League of Legends, there's no map dependencies. However, there is different sides. There's a blue side, red side, and some champions do better on one side than the other. I guess there's like a slight advantage when it comes to that. But with Overwatch, I don't know. I have to look more into it, but I don't know if it's random. They're uh, choosing of the, I don't feel like, oh, since Team Los Angeles won, then uh, LA whatever picks a different map. Like the loser picks the
I
map.
don't. I think it's predetermined. Like I think it's, and I think it's for each game mode. So like if first one's escort, it's on this map. If the next one is capture, it's on this map. They don't really have a map rotation. It's basically this map is for this game mode, this map's for this game mode. So that way
Okay.
everybody's playing on the same maps.
Okay, that makes sense. So, when you're playing different game modes, you're going to play different champions. So I bet there's a lot of strategy when it comes to that, or heroes, whatever. They ain't heroes. All of them are
Hmm.
heroes anyway. Uh, so I'm assuming there's different strategies for that. I like watch
Oh,
this
there
one
is.
game, and because it's all a centralized, you have to protect this area, wherever from them from taking it. This person was playing. The comp was like it's the comp that won, I would say. So we got Farah, we got Diva, we got uh, Mercy, and we got Tracer, and we got Harambe. Okay.
Really wrong.
My wife in the background saying really Harambe.
That's his name, man. It's Harambe.
So that comp makes is very well into. I think they're attacking because Divas ult. If they're all sitting in the middle, you throw your ult in the middle, boom, they all die. Farah, you're literally just flying from the sky, shooting down, boom, you win. Harambe, he has an AoE shield. Tracer can get in and out, which is very annoying, and then Mercy literally can revive the entire team if they die.
Not
That's
anymore.
oh, they fixed it. Good. That crap
They
ticked me off.
they
So
changed. They reworked her now. Her res is now an ability, and it has like a 20 or 30 second cooldown, and you can only res one person. Her ultimate now though makes her to where she can fly by herself infinitely. She does more damage with her pistol, and she can chain her heal and damage output to I think up to 3 heroes.
shit, that sounds more broken than before. But
It's actually not that bad. It's way better. The biggest problem was like especially with like play the game. Like all you had to do was just you had these mercies that were sitting back and waiting for the entire team to die, and they'd run in there, hit their ult, revive everybody, and that was automatically play the game.
yeah, that's broken. Also, there's like a Shaz. Not Shaz. I can't see what this darn person picked. Oh, and a Genji. So they have two healers, which is
Yep.
interesting. Um, Remember,
Who'd
the
they have?
last healer is AOE. So it seems like the way to win of attacking is just having a bunch of AOE stuff that allows you to hard push in and really do tons of damage. While the opposing team had picked Roadhog, which is good for picking, uh, the Russian chick, which is good for something, getting really up
Who?
close. I
Which
can't
one?
remember. It's like Joe's favorite hero. I can't remember the Russian chick, bodybuilder looking
Oh,
girl,
uh,
borderline dude.
Z- Zinnia,
Yeah, Xenia. And then you got
whatever.
Lucio. All right, which is good for pushing and he's really good for pushing and counter ulting. Um, then some, I don't even know what the heck that person is. And then they didn't add no new people, I don't think, since
Yeah,
Doomfist.
they had another one since Doomfist.
Oh, well, I guess that's the new person because I don't recognize them. Diva and Reinhardt. That's a very low damage run the clock down team comp.
Wait, you
It
said they
seems like
had
it.
you said they had Ryan, Diva, and uh, Roadhog.
Yeah.
So they're running 3 tank. Okay.
So they're running a 3 tank, 1 support, and I guess this person was supposed to be like an attacker, but that was a very defensive to me type of playstyle, and
Hmm.
it didn't work out in their favor because with the other team they're playing a more aggressive. Their ults are meant to allow them to go all in. When Zenyatta ults, everyone is going in to kill everyone else because they have that healing boost. Especially Harambe, who ults and gets so much more health. And then Tracer literally ults, just throws a bomb on someone and then they all die. So while Pharah is just shooting you from the sky. So the problem with their team comp is they have nothing really that defends Pharah from just shooting down. There's no shields that can really get pointed up. So Pharah literally can just sit in the sky all day and without a Genji to dash in the sky to kill her, or Roadhog their landing his hook, it kind of are just in a, they're like I said, they're in a run the clock down by having tanks that will last longer. But Overwatch is very quick pace, and it kind of to me does not matter to have that many. To me, they should have had something like a Torval or something like a Bastion who is going to sit. If you're going to play that defensive style, you got to play something that allows them to shoot up in the air. They have nothing that shoots up in the air against the Pharah, and if Mercy is smart, she's just going to sit up there and just heal her all day while she's just shooting down. And you don't have enough damage to really kill both of them. So they can literally chip away because the only healer is Lucio, who can be easily picked off by Tracer or Pharah herself. And, Diva does a lot of damage even for a tank. And yeah, they have a Diva too, but, overall, the other team comp was better thought out for attacking and defending. I wouldn't want a Reinhardt defending for. I think Reinhardt is better for pushing when you're doing escort, but for protecting an area, I feel like you could have probably actually picked. You could have picked Harambe, and then you could have picked a Bastion instead of probably Roadhog, who can, with Bastion you can just shoot him down and whatever. And then actually, instead of Lucio, you can actually pick Zenyatta because since they have a Mercy, to me, if an enemy team has a Mercy, your team should always be having a Zenyatta because he can cancel out the heal of that person. So if you're going for a play, all you have to do is throw heal, land a skill shot to either stun or hook, and then kill that person, and then kill Mercy, or kill Mercy, and then boom, you've completely destroyed that that scenario right there. But since they didn't do that, because they have 3 tanks, and none of them, except for Roadhog, if he lands his hook, can really pull Pharah down or shoot up to kill Pharah, that team is just destined to lose. I mean, and that's actually what happened. They lost the series because, I mean, it kind of just absolutely got destroyed.
See, at that point, when you're dealing with a Pharah, you either need another good Pharah player, somebody like 76, because he's got pretty decent accuracy, or you need a good Widowmaker, because Widowmaker will just, if you have a good Widowmaker, she'll wreck uh,
Right.
Pharaoh.
And then they end up changing their team comp to McCree, and they got a Tracer now. But now you get, and now they got Harambe, but then you've wasted time having to change out your players when
Yeah.
you could have already gotten Harambe for the AoE shields, who can just electrify them, because they're overall the purple team was a very squishy team, um, and the purple team just had a better diva than the yellow team did. But I mean, that's how they that's how they won the game. That's how they
Who was it?
4-0'd them. Los Angeles Gladiators versus some nobody gray team. I mean, it ain't nobody, but
Yeah, those ones. The only match that was really good, where both teams were really good, was the uh, was it Dallas and Seoul game. Dallas has a lot of like big people that have been playing Overwatch for a long time and are really good. Most of them are streamers. And then Seoul, I mean, you have your Korean players, and they're always going to be good at whatever video game that they play.
right.
So that was really like the best game of yesterday. The other two games were 4-0s. The Dallas and Seoul game went to double overtime on the last map. Um, they just kept, it was capture and uh, escort, and like they just, both teams just kept, neither one of them could defend. Like they just kept getting wrecked on defense, but they were just pushing. Uh, I think it was capture. It was the double capture points, and they Dallas played first on offense, and they captured both points with like 6 minutes left on the timer,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the fastest that anybody's ever seen it done. And then Seoul came back, and they were on offense, and they captured both points with like 5:40 left on the clock. So it was just a really good back and forth battle, and it was really entertaining to watch.
I think these teams overall, um, I think Overwatch is very easy to go aggressive and snowball relatively quickly. I
Mm,
feel like that's how the game is meant to be played, to snowball quickly and end the game quickly. It's not meant to be a long, drawn out game. But these teams, to me, need to focus on actually not closing out the game, but actually stalling the game to the defending team on like control the area and uh, prevent escorts is to actually run down the clock. Your team comp should be to run down the clock and prevent them from getting to point A to point B. You have to stop them and run down the clock. And the team, to me, that figures out how to do that effectively the first is going to be the team that actually wins the most, because when they're on defense, they can easily stop almost any team because they've learned to run down the clock, while other teams are trying to just in the loop, like, well, we're going to copy them now because they know how to run down the clock. It's very easy to snowball. These teams know how to snowball. They know how to play aggressive, but they don't know how to play defensive. They don't know how to actually slow it down, stop the clock, because since Overwatch is a fast-paced game, everyone thinks it needs to be fast-paced. 2 minutes in Overwatch is like an eternity. Like,
right.
it's like, damn, this game is so long, but when you watch it, the game's like, wow, that's only 2 minutes. And
Yeah.
like a series is like probably 10, 15 minutes max, where a game in League of Legends is like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I feel like defense teams need to learn how to slow down the clock. Just don't go too defensive. I think the problem is they'll get too defensive, so you have no damage. So I feel like everyone does do good damage in Overwatch, but there's a pretty obvious, um, you know, healers do damage, damage people do a lot of damage, You know, I feel like when you're on defense, you only need one good long. I think you need a good long range sniper, a long range. I think you need like a flanking, I would say, attacker.
Yeah.
Someone like a tracer who can just go in, flank, kill someone, or do a bunch of damage, distract them, and then ease back. While Widowmaker's sitting up somewhere and just sniping people, and maybe you have a Bastion just sitting in the corner that's ready to decimate.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're controlling an area, don't play Reinhardt. Have probably Harambe. But if you're escorting, you should probably always be playing Reinhardt because he's so good for pushing objectives like that.
Another really good one, defensive tank hero for defense is Orisa because she has that shield that she can throw out, and you can use that on a couple of different maps to really effectively like stop their aggressive push. The problem with having Winston is that he has that AOE shield, but it's really
Weak.
it's really weak. It's really squishy.
It's weak and has a long cooldown compared to Reinhardt, whose main thing is a shield.
Right.
So I can see where that can be easily exploited when you have a hard pushing team. It's just why I don't believe he should be used in escort. I feel like Reinhardt is the better option because he just has a better shield. I mean, Harambe's shield goes down in like 2 seconds. Reinhardt's shield lasts quite a while, and then you just have to like bring it down for a little bit, and it'll recharge a little bit, and you know, Farah is definitely going to probably be seen on almost every map because she is really strong. Her ult's really strong. Tracer's really good because she's really good for flanking and being fast paced. You're probably not going to see certain characters. I don't know. I feel like the teams need to be creative because I don't feel like any one. Okay, you should probably almost always have a Mercy on your team, but you know, I don't know. There's so many options. It's Owl. It's new. It's fresh. I expect some great things from it. I feel like there needs to be diversity in a lot of games. In League of Legends, there's not as much diversity as I wish there were. Just because they play what's ever probably the strongest and they play certain comps, so everyone's going to only play certain champions. But Overwatch, to me, there should be more diversity.
That's the fun thing with Overwatch is that every time they do a rework, like everything from team comp to the whole meta really changes. Like before this last rework of like a couple different characters, like one of the new metas that was coming out was to run 3 tank, just like the defensive team did on that match you were talking about, and where they were running Roadhog, Reinhardt, and Diva. Like that started to become a really popular meta was to run 3 tank. Nobody had ever really done that before. Normally you just run 2 tanks.
Right.
And then they start reworking people, and so then comps start changing again. I think that's kind of where, like, I get it on defense, like you want to run 3 tank just because you have that extra damage absorption that you can take, but sometimes you really have to have that DPS to be able to push them back off the objective. If you don't have the DPS, you can sit there and absorb damage all day, but you're not getting any kills, so they just keep pushing.
Right, and support characters to me are very undervalued in the amount of damage they actually do, such as
Mercy, her pistol. The bad thing about Mercy's pistol is that it has a slow travel time compared to like
the bullet speed is slow.
Yes. Soldier 76, his bullets are pretty much instant. If you have your target on him and you're shooting them, it's going to hit him.
Right.
With Mercy, if you have your target on him and you shoot at them and they move, it's probably not going to hit them. So you got to kind of anticipate where they're going. But if it does land, I mean, it does damage. I mean, even with Diva, when she gets out of mech, her, bullet travel speed is slow also. But like when it hits, it does a shit ton of damage.
Right, and I mean, even like what's that one thing called? Junkrat. He does a lot of damage. The Frost woman, I can't remember her name.
Maya.
She does a lot of damage. For support, She doesn't do as much
Yeah.
damage like a Genji, but
Or
you know,
sorry,
she can
Mei.
set up a lot of good stuff, and I'm really shocked with like control the area that they're not using on defense. You're not using someone like that can slow them down. But I guess if half the team's up in the air, with like Diva jumping around, flying around, and Pharah and stuff, it's I guess it's more counterintuitive, I guess, because I think one thing that would make Overwatch more interesting, and then we'll move on to final thoughts, is that you can change characters when the situation arrives. However, it does slow down your ult progression. You know, League of Legends, you can't just change characters because, you know, you're losing lane or you need to switch things up. You know, once you lock those characters in Champion Select, they're locked in. You know, nothing's going to change it. So I find that makes the game more fluid, but also can kind of make it more hectic because you're thinking more on the fly to change, but it can also actually hurt you because now you don't have that ultimate, and then you kind of think, well, if I picked this person earlier, I could have already had the ultimate and it would have changed the tide of the game. But since they're so fast paced, I don't know. It's very, very interesting. But what's your final thoughts on the Owls?
My final thoughts is I think it's going to go. I think it's going to continue to do well, and I think it's only going to continue to get better. This is the first, the inaugural league broadcast. I think as more people hear about it and catch on to it, I mean, they did a halfway decent job of promoting it. I was seeing stuff on my Facebook news feed. Of course, I watch Twitch and YouTube, and they always had like advertisements and stuff on there. I think as more people hear about it, it's only going to get more popular. I think it's going to get bigger. And it's just continued to dominate Twitch. I mean, Overwatch has always been, fifth, sixth, 10th, 12th most watched game on Twitch, and now for the last 2 days, it's literally been number one the entire time. So I think it's only going to get bigger. I think my biggest thing with this, and I was talking to a buddy of mine about this today, was that the broadcast quality of this league, I think, is going to start setting the tone for other esports. I think it's going to, the professionalism. I mean, this was like watching. It was like watching an NFL game on ESPN,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the other esports are going to start going to something more like this. They're going to start investing more money in the broadcasting and getting the game out there and advertisement and stuff like that. I mean, the way they did this, they would have a match, and then in between rounds, they would have an ad playing, a sponsorship playing. Overwatch League is brought to you by. Started showing different sponsors and stuff, and I feel like this is going to be the way that esports goes, and I feel like this game is going to set the tone for that. So overall, I think it's a good thing for the community, for esports, for gaming in general. I feel like they still have some things to work on. I don't know if this was the right game to drop money into like this, but I definitely feel like it's going to be the standard for esports moving forward.
I mean, I definitely agree with you that they have invested a lot within the budget of the broadcasting team. I think League of Legends also does it very well, and I only say that because I've watched League of Legends and it has a very quality broadcast. Like, it's a very quality stream. I can't say that for other esports though. I feel like other esports,
Call of Duty's the same way.
So like the big ones, Call of Duty. I think CS:GO is also really decent too. But when new esports come out like PUBG, I don't know how the heck they're going to do that tournament wise. It's PUBG, but so to me, I don't think any one esport will ever dominate. It's going to just be like sports. You have your NFL fans, you have your NBA fans, you have your MLB fans. You have fans that only watch certain sports, and
Right.
I feel like if these new upcoming esports want to kind of be like that, because obviously there's going to be a lot more than sports, which to me is going to eventually I don't want to say it's in a bubble, but it's kind of in a bubble because it's so new. So when I think of new things, they're kind of in a bubble until it normalizes. Um, even though it seems like, League of Legends is not that new, it's kind of been an esport for quite some time, about 8 years. CS:GO been an esport for a while. Halo has been an esport. We've had esports, but we haven't realized it's been esports. Like on G4 TV, I miss G4, but there was teams playing like against each other, and we didn't call it an esport back then. We just kind of call it like a competition. But now
Right.
now we have actual esports, and there's good ones, there's bad ones, and to me the ones that are bad is because the broadcasting quality is pretty trash. It's boring to watch, and everyone knows if it's boring to watch, you're not going to make money. It's not going to thrive, and it's not going to be bigger than it actually could until you spend a little money to make a little money. So that's my final thoughts, and I've always preached that these games need to invest in actual broadcasting teams. They don't have to be the streamers that are streaming the game because they're just not that great. A lot of them are not. They're kind of fake. Not all of them. So I hope no one takes that into context that a lot of them are fake. No, some of them are indeed fake, and that's okay. They're an entertainment. They're a character on Twitch. I want people who are actually passionate about talking about the game, so we can talk about going in as far as detail as the weapons layout and how that affected the overall flow of a game, or something like that, using different runes and masteries in League of Legends, how it affected the overall flow of the game, how this person's positioning in the top lane affected the overall pace of a map, or stuff like that. Stuff that I'll be analyzing for Academy Radio, and stuff that you'll be analyzing for Killstreak.
And just real quick to interrupt you here real quick, I did notice I was watching the broadcast tonight. One of the announcers and the analyst for the Overwatch League used to be a caster for Call of Duty back before the jump pack era, and I think he was still around a little bit for that, but then he just kind of like wasn't there anymore. And now they've brought him on to Overwatch, and that's just kind of the kind of thing you're going to start seeing is like your just like in regular sports, you have your commentators, your casters that are there, your Harry Carries, your you know those kind of guys that are going to be just involved in esports. Period, and they're going to be well this year they're on Overwatch, next year they're on Call of Duty, next year they're on League of Legends.
Right.
So there's definitely people in that field that are capable of doing that type of thing, and I really enjoyed seeing that had moved over there, and it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, like there was a guy that I was critical as he was an LCS player, but I was more enjoying of him when he was a shoutcaster. He was shoutcast on League of Legends, and I think he was an analyst on there too. But now he's an analyst on Owl. I think he's like an after game analyst, and I find that really interesting that a lot of people from League of Legends did transfer over to Overwatch because League of Legends community is very toxic. Even though all you have to do now is just mute everyone and just enjoy the game, but you still get trolls. But like I said, that was our final thoughts. Just to give you guys some updates. We got Jozu Nation up in here. We got our website. I'll be creating a dedicated video for our website instead of the end of this podcast. But we got a website, Jozu Nation, where we cover, right now we're covering 3 esports. I'm covering League of Legends NA and, of course, World Championships. For Academy teams, we'll sprinkle a little bit of the pro scene there and maybe a little bit of college. But right now, just mainly focus on Academy, giving it the love and attention that it deserves. Dismount, what are you covering?
I'm covering Call of Duty. Live, eat, sleep Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. I've been watching it forever. I've been watching it since like Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2 on MLG before they really had professional broadcast going on. So I'm going to be covering this year's stuff. I will have a episode of the Kill Streak up on Monday after the Call of Duty World League New Orleans this weekend. Also, if you haven't joined our Discord, you can join our Discord. We'll have a link to that, I believe,
Yep, it's in the
uh,
description.
in the description. I actually already have a post to where you can watch the Call of Duty World League New Orleans this weekend, posted in the Discord. So go check that out. And then, like I said, I'll have a episode of Killstreak going over, reviewing, doing highlights of that on Monday.
Yep. And Joe, unfortunately, is not here. Joe's kind of going to be in and out. He's our third guy who's always on here. And he'll be covering, I believe right now, he's be covering Overwatch. He has an article on there on the website right now, which I have on our Team Jozu Twitter page. So make sure to check that out. And I have my own podcast show as well. Dismount has a kill streak, and I will have Academy LOL Radio, where I'll discuss Academy events, Academy analysts, stuff that's happened within the Academy realm. Things that you guys probably want to hear more about that people aren't covering. So that's all the time we have for today. If you love things, all things gaming, love to discuss things gaming, then make sure you hit that subscribe and bell notification button so you get notified when we go live here on my channel, as well as so you can just be part of the discussion and just have fun. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next one. Peace.
Peace.